Hello, my name's Sian. I'm one of the physiotherapy team. Thanks for coming in today.
Hi Sian, nice to meet you.
So looking at your referral, it says that you've been having some hip pain. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's been going on for about 15 years, I think, overall, and just seems to be getting worse. It's getting really frustrating because I want to be doing some activity, but it's stopping me from doing some of the things that I want to do, and it's getting quite depressing overall, really.
Okay, so that sounds quite frustrating. Can you tell me a little bit more about the pain and where you're feeling the discomfort?
Yeah, so it seems to be mainly kind of, I suppose, in my groin area that I feel it worse. It's quite deep in that region.
Okay, and does this pain on the right side tend to go down to your knee and into the foot at all?
No, it never goes beyond probably the top of the thigh. That's where I tend to feel it more, and then the kind of groin where most of it's related.
And do you ever experience pins and needles or numbness in your right leg at all?
No, thankfully that's not something I've experienced.
Okay, and how would you describe the pain that you get?
There's a dull ache most of the time. That's kind of the pain that I tend to feel in that area, but then sometimes it can be quite a sharp shooting type pain.
Okay, so a dull ache mainly and then a sharp pain. And would you be able to rate the two different pains on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the worst?
Yeah, I'd say both pains in some respects, at their worst, are probably 7 to 8 out of 10. And then it settles down to like a dull ache, maybe 3 out of 10 most of the time.
Okay, and other than walking, is there anything else that makes the pain worse at all?
Sometimes if I'm twisting or turning suddenly, so if I'm getting in and out of a car, that type of movement can be quite painful.
Okay, and is there anything that eases the hip pain at all?
Not much. The only thing I've tried, which has been of some help, is taking some paracetamol, and I try and take that fairly regularly. That takes the edge off it, but probably no more than that.
Okay, so it's good you're getting some relief from the paracetamol. Do you notice any changes in your pain throughout the day at all?
Sometimes it's a bit worse first thing in the morning, but then mainly it's related to activities that I do. That seems to be the main thing.
Okay, and how long does the pain, the stiffness last in the mornings?
Yeah, so the joint feels quite stiff, probably for the first maybe 15 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that. And then as I start to get moving, it seems to free up a little bit.
Okay, and do you experience any stiffness any other time?
If I sit for a long while, that tends to be a problem. So as I start, if I've sat in a chair or sat in the car and I try to get going, it almost feels like the joint has to be lubricated to get me moving again.
Okay, and how about sleep? Is it affecting your sleep at all?
It's not too bad actually, sleep. Occasionally just a bit uncomfortable with the position, but it's not causing major problems there.
Okay, and have you got any idea what might be causing the pain?
It's difficult to know. I suppose I'm getting on a bit, and I wonder whether it's just the joint getting a bit worn out, something like that. Always have the worry that it might be something more serious. So particularly as it's my groin area, just a bit worried about that, but it's probably just me wearing out.
Okay, so have you got any other concerns at all about what it might be?
Only just, I suppose, cancer's the one thing that often goes into your mind when you think about pain that isn't getting any better. And it's been around a long while. But yeah, nothing else other than that, really.
Okay, so yes, it does sound quite frustrating for you. Do you think there's anything else that we can help you with? Anything else that you'd like to get from this appointment today?
I mean, I think coming into physio, I wasn't sure what I'd get. I've been to a physio in the past and it wasn't particularly helpful, but I suppose if I'm honest, what I'd like to know is, number one, what it is. That's important. And then once I've got a better understanding of what it is, what I might be able to do to manage it myself, perhaps find some ways to make the pain a little bit less sore if I can.
Okay. And do you have any goals at all? Is there anything specifically that you'd like to be doing that you really struggle with at the moment?
So I've not got anything major, but I do want to get a bit more active and do a bit more walking if possible. That's been a real challenge in that I'm doing less walking than I'd usually do, and that's that's pretty frustrating. That's quite depressing. And I sense I'm probably piling on the pounds through not doing that, really. So, yeah, just to be able to walk a bit further.
And how long can you walk for at the moment before needing to stop?
Probably at best about 15, 20 minutes, and then it really starts to kick in, and I'd have to have a proper break then at that stage.
Okay. And finally, have you got any hobbies that you enjoy, and what do you do for a living?
Yeah, so I've not got any major hobbies. I suppose I like to go walking. I'm quite a twitcher, so I like the birds and tend to go out with a group of people, binoculars, looking for rare and exciting birds. So that's my main passion, and that obviously involves walking. So sometimes that limits me in that I can't go as far as I'd want to go. Don't get to see the birds that I'd like to be able to see. So that's not great. In terms of job, I currently work for a supermarket. So I should be stacking shelves. That would be my main part of my role, but that's become difficult. I've been put on the tills, but even that, because of the sitting, then stiffens things up. So it's becoming quite a challenge with work at the moment.
Okay, do you mind if I have a look at your hips and see what your movements are like?
No, not at all. That's fine.
I believe that you've got osteoarthritis in both of your hips.
Right.
So it's quite a common age-related condition, and that can cause inflammation and pain in the joints. So whilst we can't always stop the symptoms you get, we can help you with ways to manage those symptoms. And we can provide you with some exercises to support you, which will hopefully then enable you to be able to walk a bit longer than you are currently, and be able to kind of carry out those kind of activities of daily living more easily. Do you have any questions so far?
No, I think that's helpful to know what it is, but it'd be useful to know what can I do to help it if it is osteoarthritis. Is there anything that might be beneficial, any exercises or anything like that I could be doing?
Okay, so management of arthritis includes activity modification or pacing, so just to make sure you're not overdoing it. It could also relate to your job right now, so I know you're unable to stop working, but it might be a good idea to consider reducing your hours if you're really struggling. Or to kind of work on the tills rather than on the shop floor, which causes you a lot of pain at the moment.
Yeah.
Have you got any concerns about that at all?
It's difficult changing hours, but certainly I could look and have a chat with my manager about what's possible in terms of activity at work, just to see if there's a way of pacing the job or doing things slightly differently. I think that could be manageable. It's always tough, but yeah, can certainly ask.
Okay, so other ways that you can manage your symptoms include some anti-inflammatory medication, which you can talk to your GP about. And you might even consider using ice or heat before you exercise. That might be helpful.
Yeah, I'm happy to explore that. I think paracetamol isn't helping, so maybe looking at anti-inflammatories and seeing whether that's something I could use. Yeah, I'm happy to follow that up.
Okay. And there's also some exercises that I could show you if you'd like to go through those today.
Yeah, I think it'd be helpful to know the type of things that could be useful for me, because I don't really have any idea about exercise. So yeah, that'd be good if you could show me those.
Okay. So do those exercises seem okay?
Yeah, I think there's not too many, which is good. I think there's something that I can do regularly, and yeah, I think I can do those. And if I'm struggling with them, I can always let you know, certainly.
Okay. And you can certainly carry on doing your regular walks with those exercises as well.
Yeah.
But I would perhaps recommend reducing the length of your regular walks and keeping that up regularly, so doing that as a regular activity.
Okay.
But also recommend you use heat before the activity and perhaps ice afterwards to help reduce the swelling.
Okay.
And also don't forget to use the pain relief as and when you need.
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy with that as a plan. Yeah.
So you did mention that you were worried about your weight earlier. Now there is some research in that losing weight can decrease the load through the joints, and it also can help with the management of your symptoms. Is that something that you've tried in the past at all?
Yeah, I've never really thought much about my weight and pain, but I can kind of see the reasons behind it. It's a struggle to try and lose weight, particularly when you're not doing much activity. So I'm quite a grazer, so I tend to just grab the snacks as and when. So maybe by thinking about not doing that or reducing that may be useful.
Yes, it certainly can be challenging. Perhaps thinking about some of the extra snacks is certainly a good starting point, and maybe supplementing them with something a little healthier. Would it also be helpful if I perhaps send you some information from the NHS website in helping you plan your diet, perhaps?
Yeah, that'd be useful. I mean, I think any advice I can get. I'm not much of a chef and I don't know much about diet, so yeah, any extra information would be really helpful. Thank you.
Okay, so just to summarise, we're going to look at continuing your short walks and gradually increasing them. To continue using the paracetamol, but if needed, discuss with your GP about the use of anti-inflammatory medication. And we can also then consider bringing in those exercises to help with your strength and mobility, so that you can maybe commit to doing those and looking at also kind of losing some weight. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah, I think that's something I could commit to, and that's useful to have those listed as things to take forward. Yeah, definitely.
Great. Okay, so I'll send you a link to those videos then, in order to kind of remind you of some of those things.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Have you got any further questions at all?
No, I think you've covered everything I wanted to get out of today. I know what it is, which is important. You've given me some ideas to start to take it forward and some exercises. No, I think you've covered everything actually.
Okay. So regarding the plan kind of going forward, there are a couple of options for you. First of all, we could leave you on an open appointment with the exercises that I've given you, and you can just then give us a ring if you need any further information or if the exercises aren't helping.
Yep.
Another option is that we book you in for a follow-up appointment, either virtually or in person, or I can signpost you to a new app that we've been using called the Get You Better app, which gives you some education and advice on tips, how to manage your condition, and that'll also provide you with some additional exercises. What would work best for you?
I think possibly a combination. I quite like the sound of an app. I'm quite a tech-savvy person, so that would be useful to maybe have something to utilise short-term. But then I think having used that, I wouldn't mind coming back maybe for a face-to-face appointment, just because I know what I'm like with exercise and certainly the diet side of things. I think unless I've got something to aim towards. But if you can signpost me to the app, that would be brilliant. And then if I could come back and see you, maybe if we said months, 6 weeks time, something like that, give me a chance to put some of that into practice, and I can come and tell you how I'm getting on.
Okay, of course, I'll book that for you. I'll print the exercises for you today, and we'll signpost you to the app as well.
That'll be excellent, thanks.